Well, good morning. We've got Molly, our Labrador, helping us this morning, which is very nice. I've been swapping tales about Labradors and sloppy dogs with friends on Facebook for the last couple of days. But I was very excited this morning because our greenhouse arrived on the back of a truck. Well, greenhouse to be, that is. Going to build one, tack it on the end of the tractor shed, and because we've got all kinds of nice tomato plants and some little cucumber plants which will only grow really inside. So, but anyway, it's arrived. So now we have to leave it for a couple of days so it decontaminates, and then by the weekend, hopefully, we can start to put it together, which is great. Lots of gardening going on. Planted some more seeds this week, and so it's been a good week so far. Although the weather outside cloudy, windy, slightly cold, and we only got one egg today, which is disappointing, really. There we go. I thought I'd talk about a man that you've probably never heard of, and I hadn't until I read about him, called Comgall. He died back in 602, one of the Celtic saints.
They're saying you're a bit quiet. Speak up.
I'm a bit quiet. Oh, I beg your pardon. I just had a note from the director over there that there's been some things I'm saying I'm too quiet. Right, I will speak up. Yeah, Comgall. He died in around 602, and apparently he was an Irish saint, and he was first a hermit, so he liked to be on his own, and he started out life dwelling with God in stillness and quietness. I don't know what he did before he became a hermit, but he was really into contemplation and preparation, because he actually founded the monastic centre at Bangor not in Wales but in Ireland, which became the largest Christian centre in Ireland at that time, and they had over 3,000 monks staying there in that one place, a number of which actually included one of the famous ones called Columbanus. So his rule was pretty strict and ascetical. We don't have any written rules from his lifetime. We do have the rule of Comgall, which was written around 3 generations after he died, which is thought to closely reflect the life and teachings of the community that he actually founded in Bangor. And the rule begins with an encouragement to stick closely to the spiritual disciplines of, quote, the gentle Lord, laid out in the rule. The first instruction being to love Christ, to shun wealth or greed, to remain close to the heavenly King, and be gentle towards people. And he says that tepid and lukewarm repentance following a grave sin will not have a great reward in heaven. So when you're saying that, I'm sorry, God, for all that chocolate I ate yesterday,
You're talking about me.
Possibly about my dear wife, who got into the chocolate last night. Anyway, but however, whoever walks in the path of repentance would advance a step every day. But he also said something which made me smile. One of the rules suggested says, prayer, do not practice long drawn out, fat or swollen devotions, but rather give yourself to prayer at intervals, as you would to do food. And he says, pious humbug is an invention of the devil. So I don't know if I've been guilty of any pious humbug recently, but obviously to be avoided. So it's thinking about prayer and having or following a rule like the Northumbrian way, or there's various other ones, a way of life, is something that helps us in our daily life with God. It's almost like in the greenhouse that I'm going to be building on the end of the tractor shed this next weekend and beyond. It's like setting up a trellis. I'm going to put a trellis against the end wall for the cucumber plants to grow up. So setting up a trellis for a garden plant is almost like dedicating ourselves in a way of life that gives structure and support to the freedom of our growth, and our prayer growth, and our relationship with Christ. So just like Comgall, he spent time in solitude and contemplative solitude, dwelling in the divine presence, and then he stepped out and he did a fantastic work. He founded the monastic centre, and he created a rule that helped people become closer to God and inspired righteous living. So it's a bit of a challenge there. What do we do? And I found this the other day, which I found really helpful, because I don't know about you, but I sometimes wake up in the middle of the night and find difficulty going back to sleep. But then I found Psalm 16, verse 7. It says, "Blessed are you, O God, for you give me counsel. And in the night also my heart instructs me." So what I found I'm doing is, while I'm having those sort of sleepless moments before I drop off to sleep again, is to think about people who need prayer, because we have our prayer lists, we have our prayer chains. We had a course last year where we did 6 weeks of learning how to pray for healing for people. And I found this written by a man called Aidan Clark, which I found really helpful. He says, "Imagine your soul is a little bit like the Tyne Bridge." And this is what I said on Sunday. We get to roadworks, and this is our roadworks. So on the Tyne Bridge, you get busy times and quiet times. And the job of the bridge is not to ask what's in the cars or lorries, but simply to bear their weight for a few seconds and then allow them to go on their way. There's no problem when the flow of traffic is even, but when the breakdowns and bottlenecks occur, the fights and the impatience begin. Really good coffee, by the way. I also want to say that there's some baking over there, which I was not allowed to get into. My wife said no, I couldn't get into it because it was still hot. But anyway, sorry, getting back to the road bridge. Your soul has to take the weight and to let it go. The suffering becomes prolonged only when you don't acknowledge its existence and let it pass on. And then it sits on your soul like a judgment. Of course, the time to repair the bridge is in the night when the traffic is light. And this is what spoke to me. Your prayer in quiet times gives you the strength to cope with the heavy, busy times. You can dig and you can patch and you can repair in the night. And as a result, the world can flow over your soul in the day without congestion. You must allow the flow of faith and love and healing and hope and joy and light to pass through you into the world. And you must allow the flow of hatred and darkness and sin to flow from the world through you to God. And all of this is done by prayer and by forgiveness of yourself, of others, and perhaps even of God himself for what you feel he has done to you. So little by little, you grow in the power of the prayer and the ability to bear the weight and accept the contradictions of the two-way flow between God and the world. So it's a two-way flow, it's doing this. Isn't that wonderful? I really found that helpful. And I know we just had a pastoral letter from Bishop Gregory, which arrived in my mailbox today. And he was saying there's been so much wonderful, as he says, love and joy and healing and hope and light coming out from so many people during this time of lockdown, that he hopes that we won't forget it, and it'll carry on and will flow out from us into the world. So got some little prayers to end with today, and it's a prayers of healing. And I just thought it'd be really nice, because one of the things I've noticed about the social media that's coming through on our website, Thoughts for the Orchard, is that a lot of people know of friends or relatives who are either suffering with this COVID or other things as well. I have a friend in the Arctic who's, bless her, she's just lost a great friend of hers in her early 30s, leaving behind I think 2 children and a husband, and it's such a tragedy. So I was thinking about Malaya and her friend today. But we've all got friends and relatives that we can think of. So just give them up to God this morning, raise their names before God and ask for healing and blessing in their lives. In the beginning, O God, you shaped my soul and set its weave. You formed my body and gave its breath. Renew me this day in the image of your love. O great God, grant me your light. O great God, grant me your grace. O great God, grant me your joy this day, and let me be made pure in the well of your health. So we need to reflect on the cross of Christ and the suffering in the world, and with all those who are broken today. O Christ of the road of the wounded, O Christ of the tears of the broken, in me and with me the needs of the world. Grant me my prayers of loving and hoping. Grant me my prayers of yearning and healing. And finally a blessing, God before me, God behind me, God above me, God beneath me. I on your path, O God, you, O God, on my way. In the twistings of the road, in the currents of the river, Be with me by day, be with me by night. Be with me by day and by night. So bless everybody out there and all the thoughts of those that you're thinking of today. And I look forward to my greenhouse building on the weekend. I'm very excited about that. And have a great week and have a great weekend. And we'll see you on Sunday morning, all being well, God willing, at 11 o'clock. And I'm hoping I can get into that baking in a few minutes, if I'm allowed. God bless. Bye-bye.